Welcome to Where's the Effin' Leadership, a global online summit journeying deep into our evolutionary edges to reignite a new feminine leadership paradigm, where expert speakers are sharing their wisdom and knowledge on how we all must play our part in birthing a new kind of leadership that's fully inclusive, balanced, works with our energies, and is radically sustainable as we remember who we are in this world. And I'm your host, Emer Stassen, and I'm so delighted to welcome today's expert speaker, my teacher and mentor, Jocelyn Mercado. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi, Emer. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Oh, thank you for being here. And I'll say a little bit about you, Jocelyn. Jocelyn is a visibility and thought leadership coach, guide for visionary entrepreneurs, founder of Sacred Planet, writer and environmentalist. Her journey of life initially put her on a path to hone her practical, logical side. She started out by earning her MBA and then enjoyed a successful 15-year corporate finance career, working for companies like Cadbury and Mercedes-Benz. But then she was thrust into a deep spiritual awakening around the time her first daughter was born in 2010. It was that awakening which turned her life upside down, and from which she emerged with a powerful understanding of how to use her intuition and healing abilities, aspects of herself she'd never had access to before. Jocelyn now works with visionaries, revolutionaries, and change makers all around the world, guiding them to break free from everything that has held them back in the past so they can joyfully offer their highest contribution to our collective future and welcome in the abundance they need to live their fullest life. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. And your topic today, Jocelyn, is the feminine gone wild as a visionary new model for entrepreneurship. So where would you like to start with that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I am so excited about your event, Emer. I think it is just really going to catalyze some profound change for the audience as well as for the speakers. So thank you so much for creating this and putting it together. And I think it would be great to begin with what does this mean, the feminine gone wild, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, to me, this is the call that I think all of us or most of us are feeling at this time. And it is a call from the earth. It is a call from the cosmos. And it is a reconnection with the magic that is available in our world, right? And so there are many ways into this. There are many ways that we can awaken this in our lives, but some of the ways that come up for me are really waking up our visionary ability that is always within us. Every single one of us, every person listening, has the ability to receive a new vision and create something entirely new into the world from what they perceive in that vision. Now, when we say vision, it's really important to know that you may not actually be seeing something. You may hear this information, this insight from a higher intelligence, or you may just know. You may just know what you need to do. We all have the ability to tap into this. This is something that has been available to us since the beginning of humans existing, and we still have access to it now. So that's a part of it, our visionary ability. And this is also connected to the power of our physical bodies, because we are electric beings. There is electricity flowing through us, and that is energy. We are made of energy. And so we can work with this energy in so many different ways. You know, in some of us, it manifests as healing powers, like the ability to lay your hands on someone and have them be healed. In others, it may manifest as the ability to send out positive energy into the world. And in fact, I believe we can all do that, right? That's really what prayer is. The ability to send out positive energy and love and light and create healing. And there's many different ways we can work with the energy of our physical bodies. But part of this wildness that we need to return to is in really embodying this energy that moves through us. And whether it's through movement or dance, or full self-expression in whatever way feels right for you, we've got to really share what's truly in us, share this energy that's moving through us. For women, as related to our physical bodies, we have tremendous power in our moon time. That is a time, especially near the beginning of our cycle, when we first start bleeding, that this is truly a visionary time. This is the time when the women would go away from the rest of the community for a little while and just be in the dreaming space and allow the vision to come through. So this is another way to access it, to access that wildness, is that, during that beginning time of our cycle, to just go and sit on the earth and open up fully. Allow that vision to come in. So these are some examples. These are some ways. There are infinite number of ways to access it. But we have infinite creative potential. And when we open up to our wildness, we can really feel that, and we can embody it, and we can bring new things into the world. And that's truly what our world needs now, right? We need to stop creating things in the old ways, and stop creating things in the way that the old patriarchy has been doing so, and really tap into the deep, deep feminine in our creative process. So these are some ideas to begin.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that, how you describe that around her wildness, this call from the earth, from the cosmos, and her wildness that is within us all as well.
Yes.
And what does this mean then for people, women in particular, that might still be in mainstream work environments, life environments? How can we really embrace this wildness?
Yes. I had chills as you asked that question, because this is such a key part of my own story. So, and I'll tell you a little bit of that story to illustrate it. So I had that sacred feminine awakening when my first daughter, Sophia, was born. And for a long time, I didn't know what to do with that. And in fact, I went into a depression for a couple of years after she was born, because I realized that everything I was doing day to day in the corporate world, and even in my personal life at that time, was just not aligned with my higher self, with who I knew I was meant to be becoming. But I didn't know how to shift it. I had the income from the job, and that was needed to pay the mortgage, and it's all of the things. And I'm sure many people listening are in that place right now. So what started to happen when my little daughter was maybe 2 or 3 years old, when I would get ready to head off to work every morning, I'd be in my kitchen fixing the lunches and, the normal things. And I would look out the window and I would see these trees that were in my backyard. They still are. They're right there. And these trees seemed to be calling to me. And I had never had this kind of experience before. And so it was very fascinating to me. So then I would try to make a little extra time in the morning to just go and stand outside and look up at the trees before I went off to work. And they were saying to me, don't go, just stay here with us. Don't go into that, into that building where you're just going to sit all day in the artificial light. Stay here with us. And that was really powerful. I had not had an experience like that before. And that was, that's truly the wildness calling, right? That is the earth calling her daughter back. So that would be my first advice, is to look for these ways that the wildness is calling to you. And it might seem to come from the earth, as that did for me. It might seem to come from the stars. If you're drawn to astrology, or if you're, and this is another, the stars have been talking to me lately. Actually, this has been really big for me in just the past few weeks, especially. You might just be called to stare up at the stars at night and just try to perceive the messages that are there, because there are always messages in the stars. But look for what is calling to you, and just begin connecting in with that in whatever way you can. It doesn't have to be a complete, jumping off of the of the cliff of your old job. It doesn't have to be that immediately, but just start really listening. And I will share too that one thing I very strongly recommend that changed everything for me is a practice of shamanic journeying. Now, it's basically a form of meditation. And meditation, maybe you're pulled to one sort of meditation more than shamanic journeying. And if so, follow your instinct. But for me, shamanic journeying has been extremely powerful. And what you do with shamanic journeying is you listen to a drum beat, and the drum beat shifts your brainwave state to a theta state. And that is a state of light sleep or deep meditation, so that we can drop in really quickly and connect with the universal intelligence that's always around us. So very magical things started happening for me when I started a shamanic journeying practice, which I did soon after the trees began talking to me. And it was just coincidence that led me to the shamanic journeying, but it really changed everything. So yeah, connect in with that which is speaking to you, and look for the magic. Look for the magic, look for the aliveness in the world around you that you didn't know was there before.
That's utterly beautiful, that the trees calling to you. And I'm imagining this like almost like a love affair. It's like, stay here with us, don't go there.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And for people watching then, and it's something I've heard you say many times, Jocelyn, is to step in and do what we most fear.
Yes.
That's
the next step.
That's the next step. How does this relate to the call of the wild?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. Yes. So when we are on the journey of following our soul's purpose, it may not always be exactly clear what that purpose is at the outset. And that's okay, because we are here as part of our wildness. We are here to dance with the mystery. We are here to truly move toward that which we cannot yet see. And so one thing that can guide us, oddly enough, is what we're most afraid of. Because almost always, whatever it is that we're most afraid to do in our lives is pointing us in the direction of our purpose and our soul's mission. So one example that I see so often in the amazing clients that I work with is a fear of being really visible. A fear of, for example, getting on camera like this, and as you're doing, even are creating this big event and interviewing the people, and it's really scary to be visible and to put yourself out there in this way. So think about, what is it in your own life, for those who are listening, that you're deeply terrified of, but yet somehow you know that if you were to take a step in the direction of that fear and do something different that you've never done before in that direction, it would change everything. And that is surely guiding you towards your life's purpose. And it can very often be that, we've had experiences either in our ancestral lineage or our past lives that are that triggered this fear. So maybe one of our ancestors, or maybe in a past life we were a healer or a priestess, and maybe we were cast out of the community for doing that healing work, or maybe we were labeled as a witch, or maybe we were harmed in some way, right, in past centuries. And so this can be a deep wounding. It can be, whatever we're afraid of in this lifetime, there's a reason for that. It's not limited to, oh, there's something wrong with me and I have to fix myself. It's much bigger than that. And it is, as I said, almost always pointing us toward our purpose. So think about what that is for you. And think about one little step that you could take in the direction of that fear. Because when we do what we're most afraid of, we create an entirely new experience for ourselves. We put ourselves in a place that we didn't think we could get to. And so that's very empowering, for one thing. And it also gives us a whole new vantage point, So if we've been hanging out around here in the comfort zone, doing what's familiar, but then we take a leap and we do something we've never done before, we end up here. And we can look back and see, oh, okay, I can see, I have a whole new view of who I'm becoming and what is actually possible for me. And from there, we have the capability to create so much more. So if you're in corporate and you know that you're afraid of, not having the financial stability that you're used to, or coming out with a message that you don't know if your friends and family are ready for, I encourage you to move toward that. Because the earth needs us, the cosmos needs us to really do things in a very different way, move toward our purpose, move toward our fears, overcome our fears, so that we can bring our fullest gifts and talents out into the world.
Yes, absolutely. And how can shamanism or shamanic journeying, visioning, these things that you've mentioned before, how can they help us walk with this fear, take the next step?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So shamanic journeying, I'll share then a little bit more of how that changed everything for me and how I've seen it change other people's lives as well. When we enter into a shamanic journeying practice, and when we're doing that regularly, every day, every other day, we get connected with the guides who are here to help us. And so these may be ancestors from our lineage, these may be gods and goddesses on a mythical level, they may be power animals, they may be our angels. When you begin shamanic journeying, you will meet up with some of these guides. And so that creates a really big shift for people, because we can often feel very isolated and very alone. Especially if we know that we have a big mission or a big message to bring forward, but the people around us are not ready for that, wouldn't appreciate it, wouldn't understand it. We can feel very, very isolated. And what we learn in the shamanic journeying practice, as well as probably in any meditative practice that feels right for you, is that we are never alone. And we are actually so very guided and protected at every step. And we're being led, and we're being given signs and symbols and synchronicities constantly trying to help us get to that future state where our highest self is, and where we are fully expressing our wildness and from our heart and soul, bringing something entirely new into the world. And so yes, that's the shift. And does that answer your question, or did I miss a part of your question there, Emer?
No, it's just beautiful it's like going deeper into that journey through, say, a shamanic journey. And I love how you express that we're never alone.
Yes.
Those unseen realms, they can become seen or felt or heard through journeys like shamanic journeying.
Yeah. And we also, in that journeying practice, we get a clearer and clearer picture of the big picture, right? So we can feel very stuck in day-to-day matters, paying the bills, getting the kids off to school, these kinds of things. And we can feel really trapped in that. But when we do this journeying practice, and we ask our guides, where am I meant to go? So let me share this piece. In shamanic journeying, it's a very powerful space to ask the big questions. So you can ask your guides to share with you, what is my higher purpose? What is the next action that I can take to overcome my fear? What is it that I most need to understand about this difficult situation I'm in right now? These are just some examples of the big questions we can ask. And we can receive real answers. And we can receive answers that could never have come from our logical thinking brain, human mind, right? We know that these answers are coming from a higher place, from this higher intelligence of the universe. And when we hear these kinds of answers, then we just know in our heart that it's true. And it might be an assignment. It often is an assignment that will take you way, way outside of your comfort zone. But you need to follow it. And then you have that direction. The mystery is starting to be revealed. And you get a much clearer picture of what your next steps can be. So that's another way that this practice can be life-changing and extremely helpful.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and so unique for each one of us, for each person watching as well.
Absolutely. Yes, completely unique for each individual.
Yeah. And why women? Why the feminine going wild?
Yes. Well, I welcome the men to go wild as well. I think we all need to. But there's something happening in our world right now where the women are receiving the call very powerfully. I think that there have been many of us receiving the call for some time now, and many of us have responded to it, but there's something different in the air in this last year or two. I mean, it's been so intense. It has felt very catalyzing. It has really felt like we are, leaving behind the old ways of doing things and being called to step into the new, whether we want to or not. But there is a power coming forth from the feminine. If we think about the marches that have happened, and just the increase in the amount of women that we see speaking up on behalf of the earth, women speaking up in political realms like never before, female political candidates coming forward who are very, very different from how politics has been done in the past. and even, you know, young people, young women like Greta Thunberg. Just incredible to see how this is rising up. And I just know in my heart that, again, it's the earth, that, you know, our mother, she's calling to us. She's asking us as the women to rise up and lead a revolution. And we need to get really wild in order to do that. And we need to reconnect with these parts of ourselves that have been shamed and repressed. You know, that's a big part of this wildness too. So when I share about reconnecting with our moon time and going and sitting on the earth at that time and opening up to receive the vision, this also has to do with the creative life force within us and our sacred sexuality that has been so held down and shamed. I see this, the topic of sacred sexuality coming out, just bursting out at the seams from so many different angles in our world right now in really beautiful ways. You know, women speaking up about opening to our sexuality and opening to our power as the goddess, right? So as women, from the beginning of time, from 50,000 years ago or more, women were looked to in the community as the bringers of life. And long before we had any scientific explanation for it, you know, women were the ones that would swell with pregnancy and give birth to a completely new human life. I mean, what a mystery, right? What a miracle this must have been. I mean, it still is today, but what a miracle this must have been to the people living in deep connection with the earth and without, you know, the scientific knowledge that we now take for granted. And that the woman, her cycle is perfectly aligned with the cycles of the waning and waxing moon, right? What a beautiful mystery and miracle this is that we get to live within. And so women, you know, were placed at the center of the community as the bringers of life. And life, all activities and all decisions by the community in those ancient times were made with the primary focus of how can we uphold life for our community as well as for the world around us. And the people lived in deep reciprocal relationship with the earth, with the mother, by giving gifts to her and by celebrating and having ceremony to honor her. So, you know, the feminine is just the most unstoppable and infinite creative force in the universe. From the feminine, all things are birthed. So as women, we have all of that inside of us. So we are deeply needed right now to create an entirely new way of living, to really tune into our visions and our passion and the longing that we're feeling right now to shift things, to really answer that, to respond, and to create. As I have said a few times already during this talk, but it's so important to really, you know, really go there, like to create something entirely new that we have never seen before.
Yes. Yeah. That gives me tingles all over.
Me too.
And when you talk about power, whether that's goddess power, life force, energy, sexuality, could you say a bit more about power?
Yes, definitely. So we, in the world over the last 2,000 or 3,000 years, so we were talking about way back 20 or 50,000 years ago. So if we bring it forward a little bit, about 1,000 to 2,000 BC, so 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, things shifted from where the feminine and life were always placed at the center and prioritized in the decisions of the community. And people began to want to claim power over the community and even power over the land, and land ownership began. That was something that you would never have heard of in those ancient times, and even in indigenous cultures today. There's no land ownership. The land cannot be owned. The land is our mother, right? So land ownership began, and rulers rose into power, usually men, and there was war, so all of these changes came in to shift things. And that kind of power, the kind of power of rulership and ownership and war and victory, began to take over and began to take the power away. Well, you can't really take the power away from the feminine, but it began to really shift how things were operating in the world. And so since then, women began to accept a place of lower status, or were forced into a place of lower status in the society. And that's something that we are definitely still recovering from. That's something that has shifted quite a bit in the last 30 years or so. But we are still coming out of the shadow of that. So when I talk about reclaiming our wildness and reclaiming our visionary ability and reclaiming the power of our moon time and our sacred sexuality, all of these aspects, these are all aspects of our power that are reminding us of what we're truly capable of. So in reconnecting with our power, we've got to become connected to our bodies. And we've got to become reconnected with the ability to receive that intelligence from a higher place and then act on it. Because all of these are the gifts of the feminine. If we talk about what are the powers of the feminine and the powers of the masculine, the powers of the feminine are to receive the vision, to navigate in the dark and the mystery of the dream time, and bring back the messages to the people, right? And the ability to have softness in bringing the community together and raising the children and supporting others in difficult times, but also to have this fierceness and readiness to stand up for what we believe in, right? And readiness to bring something entirely new into the world through receiving that vision. So this is where the feminine power lies. And this is the wildness that we need to return to, that we are returning to.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful. And how does this power in this way, how does this relate to our leadership?
Yes. So when we know that we're meant to start a business or a movement or a revolution or a community, or we're meant to step up as a leader in some way in this world, we really need to call upon this wildness, because we need to be expressing our truth more strongly, more profoundly than we ever have before. And I'm speaking about this as a visionary new model of entrepreneurship, because this is not about, let me think how best to word this. This is not an ego thing, right? This is not about saying, I'm going to make more money than you, or I'm going to have power over you, or I'm going to to be in charge and be at the top of this revolution. This is a whole new era that we're entering into as far as leadership that is very tribal. Mm. And we can be leaders in the tribe because we have the vision, because we are expressing our deepest truth and our gifts, but we are calling everybody else up to also do that in their own way, right? And we are calling everybody else into their power at the same time. So this is very, very important, this new model of leadership that is all about community, that is all about generosity and sharing. And it's about taking action in really strong ways when we need to, for sure. But the most important thing is that we are in this together. We are all accessing our power. We are all accessing our wildness, and we are all calling one another up to that next level of who we are becoming.
Yeah. Yeah. Tribal leadership.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. It's so important. It's so important. And this is what's happening. I mean, I see this more and more, especially in this online space with, for example, the summits, like what you're creating here, bringing people together and everybody is contributing. I get chills when I think about it. Everybody is contributing so generously their knowledge and their wisdom. And really it is to facilitate the great awakening of our consciousness on this planet. And also I see business leaders working together in, it's not a competition anymore. If we're coming at it from this place, it's not a competition, it's a collaboration. And the collaboration is growing and growing and growing, and more people are working together for this common goal of our future and life.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
And the earth.
The earth, yes.
Yeah. Well, would you like to share or say a bit more around your free gift that you're offering?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. So my free gift is the soulful guide to creating your own online conference or summit. And so I guide people in creating summits. It is an extremely powerful way to establish your leadership and to start an online business, or if you already have an online business, to grow it to a whole new level. And so if you are interested in finding out if that might be right for you, I have this beautiful free gift where you will be guided through the beginning steps of selecting what your topic of your summit or conference might be about, and one other step, which you'll discover once you're there. So yeah, I hope lots of people will take this and enjoy. It's so much fun, and it really gets you thinking about the big picture of what is possible for you in your leadership and your entrepreneurship. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, gorgeous, generous gift. And I do urge viewers to check it out. Doing summits like this is immense and amazing.
Yeah. It is, yes. And so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. And is there anything else you'd like to share about the feminine gone wild as the visionary new model of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, I would just say in summary, to really tune into what is calling out to you. Where is the wildness speaking to you? And respond in some way. That's the most important thing, because we're constantly receiving signs and symbols and messages and synchronicities. And it's all about whether we're paying attention to receive them. And once we know they're there and we're receiving them, it's all about responding in some way to advance that, to move it forward, to let the universe know that you're saying yes, and you're paying attention. So go ahead and respond in the way that you know in your heart is true.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that, and in relation to, say, a reciprocal agreement.
Yes, it really is. Yes, I love that you brought up that specific word of reciprocal.
Mm.
Yeah, because the universe is always trying to guide us toward our highest purpose. And the universe wants us to have everything that we need, all of the abundance, all of the connections, all of the opportunities to carry that out. So the more that we respond, the more that abundance and those opportunities will come to us and just open up the pathway.
Yeah.
It's very reciprocal.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jocelyn. And where can people find you?
Yes, so you can visit me on my website, which is weare, sacredplanet.com. And yes, I invite you to come and check out my work there. We have many beautiful things going on. One is the monthly Global Dream Group, which we call the Dream Symposium. That is a free offering. So look for that on my website. You'll also find my online courses, and you can sign up for my free gift there as well. So go check it out and enjoy.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this powerful, wild conversation.
Thank you so much, Emer. It's been such a pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you. And for everyone watching, we'll see you again soon. Thank you.